Apologize for running a few minutes late, so thanks for waiting. It's finally kind of, as we just finished the last walkthrough, kind of get back to that mode. We got a couple things yet this afternoon. Gonna head to the Civil Rights Museum for our players. I think it'd be really, a good experience for them to see the type of things that you can, I keep talking about the bowl experience that way. And we'll stop by Liberty Bowl to see the field, take a team picture. And then we get back to the hotel and finally really kind of get into our night before game routine. And I think that's starting to get at that point now where we've gone through all this press, which is all new territory for us. Start getting ready, and I think you see us kind of flipping that switch and excited to get going.
Have you seen different faiths going back to December 4th?
Hear Matt Tate talking.
Of excitement, of readiness, of prep focus, all that.
Yeah, I think you do, man. I think you go through it. Again, I'll keep saying, for a lot of guys, it's first time. So a lot of practices and trying to get, to see the light, at the end of the tunnel for game prep and, as you go through your finals and the holiday and everything. But, extremely pleased with where we're at. I'm proud of the guys and how they've handled the situation and everything, so excited to get out there and go. And I know they are too.
For all those first time guys, how important was the fact that you and your staff have experience doing this and some of your transfer guys have been to bowl games?
Extremely, I think, if I don't say it now, I may forget, the job Michael Painter, our director of football operations, and his efforts in putting together a trip and all the other people and support staff and our administration to make things happen, to make this a good experience for the guys. And I think we can, go back to some of those past trips and how to do it. I know Sam and his staff and their programs has, more recent templates for this. But I'm happy with where we're at, and hopefully that shows in how they go out and play.
Very complimentary you job.
I paid them to say that. No, it's very nice of him.
Looking at their program from afar,
Yeah, first of all, I just say is that, in this profession, we, really the first time I ever talked with Coach was at the press conference, earlier this month. But as we talk and we know he had a short stay at, was at KU at one time under Terry Allen, who I know. And I've always heard great things about him, not, excellent football coach, but better person. And that really resonated pretty quickly. The job that he's done in his short time at Arkansas and some of the things that they burst on the scene a year ago, and many things that you try to emulate within our situation, and formula playing good solid football, be physical on both sides of the ball and the lines, and be able to run the football and control it and make things happen. So he's got an excellent quarterback, and I know he's kind of gone through some transition staff wise, but when you put together a great group of guys, it's hard to always keep them. And I know he's got many others there, and I have the utmost respect for him and his program.
Coach, I'm sorry, I mispronounced your name on the first. That was how you had, so I apologize.
That's okay. As long as there's not profanity before or after, I usually am pretty good with it. Okay.
Wonder what it's like preparing for when you look at the depth chart. They're not the guys who had taken during the year. The receiver, linebacker, some other spot for Arkansas. What's that?
Yeah, I had him go back, and it can be a little different, and equally on defense with somebody else is going to call the game, because there'll be a different rhythm and situational. So there's going to be probably some new wrinkles put in. But when we really went back, I had somebody in the staff, probably Andy or something. I had like the last 3 game depth charts and stuff. Yeah, he mentioned receiver, but all in all, even though I know there's been some changes in the roster, it's pretty solid yet in the starting lineup. I think maybe rotationally, but again, you've got when you're playing a program like in Arkansas from the SEC, to be able to recruit at a high level, there's talented guys waiting for their opportunity. And it's not like a 1 week situation. It's been multiple weeks and guys are going to get a lot of reps. And I'm sure they're anxious to show that some of those maybe snaps or targets were, maybe could have come sooner. So there'd be motivation and we know there's going to be talent. So a little different, but again, I think probably both sides of the ball and for both teams, early part of the game is kind of a, kind of get a feel for what's going to happen. But again, I know they're very talented.
Given the way Jalen's season played out, how good has this extra time been for him, whether you call it rest or whatever he's done in the last month?
And again, it's for him as much as, there's a lot of guys, that have benefited from this. Of course, him missing most of the middle part of the season, give him some rest, come back. He's anxious to play and maximize that. You look at the practices and time that he missed and the amount of practices we've regained, you get about 3 weeks of work back in if a guy's missed time. I think there's some other guys that were kind of banged up late in the year that are moving around a lot better. And so hopefully, again, I keep saying, hopefully that shows itself tomorrow. Yes, sir.
Barry Odom's obviously not the coordinator now, like a shirt going. Well, what do you expect from Arkansas defense without Barry? And obviously they've had a lot of time to prepare.
Yeah, they've had time. I guess, there's, as I always say to assistants, sometimes if you're not the guy sitting next to the guy, you're the guy 2 chairs away. Well, now you get a chance to move into the chair. And I think any fine assistant coach, and I know he has a staff full of them, is as you prepare and you're working for game plans, there's probably, coordinators have a lot of responsibilities, but during the week, there's a lot of dialogue and thought process and going through your roster and what you can do well. And there's always people giving input. And so whether there's small tweaks, if I was the guy calling it, we'd be doing this a little bit more in this situation. I'm sure we're going to see that, but there's only so much time that you can fully flip it and make it look totally different. So we would expect it to be somewhat similar. They can mix it up a lot to begin with anyway. So, that's a unique challenge, but I'm sure they're going to be ready to play hard. And, Barry Odom's one heck of a football coach. And I'm sure within that room and within that unit, they're going to want to play well with or without him. And I congratulate him for the opportunity to become a head coach again, because they're not easy to get.
Because people look at bowl matchups, a lot of times they say, which team wants to be there? And I think Kansas, in this situation, really wants to be in this game. I wonder if that's an edge for you guys or how you.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've heard the same thing as well. I know our guys want to be here, and I know our guys want an opportunity to play, especially our upperclassmen and guys who've been through a lot. A lot of them had 3 head coaches and 5 to 8 position coaches and crazy stuff that no young man ever thought he signed up for when he went to college. So I know they're going to be excited to play, but at the same time, I wouldn't underestimate Coach Pittman's use of motivation and finding ways to get his team. And I know they'll be more ready to play as well. I just want to make sure that we play with great enthusiasm and finish this year out right.
Just to follow that one real quick, a lot of times just getting to a bowl game or getting to a Final Four can be kind of how people view things with a season again. How important do you think it is for your guys to win now that they're here?
Well, that's why we play the game. Is that what some guy said one time?
Yeah.
Play to win the game. It's Marv Lewis, or no, it was Herm Edwards. Yeah.
Try it.
No, I don't want to do that. Don't use any of that to anybody, please, other than I screwed up names as well. I guess every time you prepare, you don't go out and put all this in and then not to do well and there's the other benefits we talked about that this football team, what I've really come to, understand and I don't know, the word appreciate is because you figure the ways you've been behind. And like I said, we've been here for what, 20 months now. And, you know, if you guys probably kept a better track of that than me. Um, you know, when you look at 14 years or whatever without going to a bowl game, that extra weight room time, the extra development time, that extra, you know, and it's not just the current guys, it's what you put in and stack together and what your senior leadership talks about and how that's passed on through the years and things like that. Those are things we're still working through, and we're just starting to lay that foundation. And that's what we were proud at the last job, is that we had that in a good spot, that the players were leading the program and setting the examples and telling young players expectations about different parts of the year. And I hopefully this is just the beginning of those things for this program, and we can benefit from it. I think we've said it, you know, back in Lawrence, we'll be talking about the benefits when late, right now we're scheduled to start spring football February 28th. So it'll be 2 months from when we finish playing. But those in that time, the retention level and on those things are going to be important. And then we'll talk about it again in August, the guys that have really taken advantage of it and watched their maturity, their development grow, and hopefully, keep moving this program in the direction it needs to be.
Mentioned winning, but when it comes to the game tomorrow, what are the things you're looking for from the team?
And then playing hard, playing clean, those things that you kind of worry about from this chair, that with a layoff, and then again, uncharted waters for us is how are we going to react to it after that. So I think those are common things that you're going to look at, but focus and execution and all the little things. But it's like, once that thing kicks off, it goes back to all the same things that we expect all the time, and to play with great energy and make it a great game for all the people that they're here watching on television, all the people that have put a lot of time and energy into to make bowl games what they are. And we appreciate AutoZone and Liberty Bowl people for doing so for both programs.
Coach, with all of your experience for so many seasons in postseason play, is there any at a point when you start to get a feeling like you have a team that might go deep in the postseason or have an extra game, where you start tucking things away, whether it's specific plays or ideas or just to save for later down the road, or it's all that kind of overdone and it's just once the game starts?
Yeah, you have a chance. For us, we've been battling to, our last half the season didn't play out exactly the way we had hoped. So you're still always preparing to win, get better. Once we met bowl eligibility, we still wanted to keep finishing strong. Wins builds confidence, and this program hasn't had a lot of that. So, but the other thing I found from coaching at the Division III level and playing 15 games a year is that you're right, when you add a little bit here and there, that playbook gets really thick, and if anything, you got to make sure you pare it down enough in the right way. And I think one thing, and the same could be true in bowl prep. You've got those extra practices that you want to make sure you narrowed it down. But I think our staff and through our strength staff and our coordinators, I think we've done a good job of our time on the field for practice for this. It's not the same as a game week, so that also makes you narrow that thing down. But yeah, you've always had a few things that you had maybe somewhere in the season that you can pull it back out of your pocket, and then sometimes it makes it fun as well. And I'm sure they'll have some up their sleeve too.
Game this with your top 3 defensive tackles. Of course, the last 3 weeks, how does it seem kind of those older guys, super seniors, help guys like time come along?
I think Jim Pangos, his first year coaching those defensive tackles, done a great job in mentorship. As we've gone through about, because that is the most experienced group on this football team, their maturity and understanding, Caleb Sampson, Sam Burke coming back for the extra year. Can't tell you how much I appreciate them as young men. They're quality guys. Eddie Wilson, watching his development from the time he came to us at Buffalo from Milford Academy to where he is now, just in personal development, all that's going to be a factor. But you mentioned Tommy Dunn, DJ Withers, from the state of Arkansas. He's going to be motivated and those guys have really come on this year as well. We redshirted Keenan Caldwell and Ron McGee, a couple older players who played a fair amount last year, so we could try to balance that out. So hopefully that'll pay dividends in that, as we head into the spring. But we lose a fair amount in experience. Our most seniors are in that defensive line, Malcolm Lee and Zion as well. So there's some defections there playing their last game, and hopefully we'll see them play some of their best football. Well, they're going to be right up there at the top. They're physical, and as I said earlier, they're a physical football team. Obviously play in a very highly respected conference, as that's going to be extremely physical. I wouldn't expect anything less from a head coach who's an offensive line coach that's going to have that type of mentality from the first day. And that's going to be a big challenge for us that we've got to be able to answer right away.
Lance, but when you look at all this buildup and buzz around the bowl game, does it change anything for you pregame tomorrow in the locker room? Are you a rah-rah guy different than you are during the season? Do you have a big speech plan? How's that
You know me better than that, don't you? I want them to enjoy it, and hopefully there's a point, you can enjoy it in different ways, but stay focused. And what's been, again, I keep saying it throughout the time, is what bowl eligibility in a bowl game has meant to so many loyal fans. We had some former players out at our walkthrough today to see them take the time to want to do it, the connection, the responsibility. I just want, again, for everyone, for both teams, let's have a heck of a football game, played the way it's supposed to be played, and and see what happens. But no, I don't know. Again, want to keep it important. I've tried to reflect now. It's many moons ago since I ever played, but I always try to remember what the coach said in the locker room for a pregame fire up speech. If I could remember it by the time I hit the field. Okay. And so that's good movie stuff and some others of that. But I hope by then their opportunity to play in the 13th game in a the only game on at a certain time, all those different things should motivate young men for them to play well for themselves and for the program. So I think that'll take care of itself. Well, it'll be unique to each and every, of what's really kind of happened in our country before us, for us to have the opportunities that we have today. And in fact, the game's being played right now. Last bowl game we were at, it was in Montgomery, Alabama, in the Camellia Bowl, and had a chance for some of the same players that are with us to see some of the things in that area, and not quite the same during the COVID time to be able to see everything, but it can be impactful, and I don't want to speak for what I expect them. I want them to take it at their own value of what it is, but presenting opportunities for that is important. And I know with the time frame of things, we're trying to make sure we could get that done. So yeah, I guess that's the best way I'd say it right now.
Yes, Coach. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate everything you do for all our schools in college football. It means a lot to us. Thank you. Happy New Year.